What is up, everyone? It's your boy Deltlead, and welcome back to another Mod Spotlight video. It's been a long time since I've done one of these, but the last Mod Spotlight video I did on 14 Rovi's Weapons mod pack actually got a lot of response and was pretty good, so I figured I'd do another one. And I wanted to do one of my favorite mods that I've been using for a long time now. It's the Stock Engine Overhaul. Now, what the Stock Engine Overhaul does is it adds a ton of new variety to the stock engine system. It doesn't change anything fundamentally about the game, but it does add new engine types. So you had before liquid, solid, nuclear, thermal. Now we have monopropellant engines, which are very, very basic, small monopropellant engines, where the difference between monopropellant and bipropellant is with a bipropellant you have a combustion reaction with a fuel and an oxidizer. Monopropellant engines actually have a decomposition reaction. So hydrogen peroxide breaks down into steam and oxygen and creates thrust in an exothermic decomposition. They're used a lot for maneuvering engines on satellites and stuff, and they can produce a little bit of thrust. They're not super efficient. We can look here. 204 seconds ISP is really low. Even throwing the nozzle all the way down, you can only get 216. With hypergolic fuel, 240, so they're not great, but they do give you a lot of throttle control and a lot of maneuverability. We also have advanced nuclear thermal engines, so there are liquid core reactors, and there are gas core reactors, which are way more efficient, and then we have pulsed nuclear thermal reactors. And there's some new nozzles that come with these, like the nuclear regenerative nozzle, as well as the extended nuclear nozzle, and you can get some crazy thrust and ISP with these, especially if you switch out. Let's see, liquid oxygen's a new fuel, water, which is an old fuel, liquid ammonia is a new fuel. Liquid ammonia, 17.8 kilometers per second delta V with this fuel tank. So very, very efficient, very, very high-powered engine. You're still getting actually pretty decent thrust with this engine, as opposed to some of the old nuclear thermal engines that, were notoriously underpowered. It replaces the ion engine with the Vasimir system, and the Vasimir nozzle, which is a little bit more interesting system. You get a little bit more thrust out of it. You get crazy, crazy, crazy high delta V. And it doesn't use xenon, but you can use hydrogen, nitrogen, helium as the different fuel sources there. We also have hybrid engines. Now, hybrid fuel cycle engines combine a solid fuel with a liquid oxidizer. In this case, we have H2O2 at 85%, so hydrogen peroxide at 85% concentration. And then we have HTPB, which is a solid fuel mixture. And what solid fuel rockets allow is you can throttle a hybrid engine with solid fuel. Regular solid fuel rockets are non-throttleable. As soon as you light it, it is barely a controlled explosion, and you're just along for the ride at that point. But with hybrid engines, you can actually shut down, throttle up, throttle down. It gives you that control while still giving you an awful lot of power, which is really cool. We also have some new fuel cycles in the liquid fuel cycle category. So we have oxidizer-rich and fuel-rich staged options for our staged fuel cycles. We have two new pressure feds. Pressure fed 1, which is I don't know what the difference really is, like from a scientific standpoint, between pressure fed 1 and 2, but I know what the performance is. We get expander cycles, so we get open and non-open expanders. We also get the combustion tap-off fuel cycle, which is the one that I believe Blue Origin is working on, as that's their fuel cycle. We also have the electric fuel cycle, which you might say, they had the electric fuel cycle in the base game. That's true, but the electric fuel cycle in this game actually consumes electricity like it's supposed to, unlike the stock game where it doesn't consume electricity and doesn't make any sense. So they made the electric fuel cycle a little bit more powerful, but then actually made it work the way it's supposed to work, which is kind of interesting.
So what I've got here is a lineup of a bunch of the different engine and fuel types, and you'll notice some of the exhaust plumes in those engines aren't the same kind of traditional colors we're used to. We see a purple, a couple of like white, clear ones, some darker blues, some lighter oranges, and these are from the nitrous oxide oxidizers which are added, as well as the hypergolic fuels which are added in stock engine overhaul. There's a lot of really interesting stuff you can play around with. Last off, it'd be wrong if I didn't include an in-flight example of those advanced nuclear thermal engines. Now, these are gas core, liquid ammonia-cooled nuclear thermal engines. What that means is there's a reactor that liquid ammonia is being passed over, and the ammonia is cooling the reactor down and converting the thermal energy of the reactor in kinetic energy, generating thrust. This means you get a lot of efficiency for a small amount of mass, and you can go very, very far with these engines, but they're not super maneuverable. If you don't already use the stock engine overhaul, you definitely should. There's going to be a link in the description of this video. You can go to the website and download it. If you enjoyed this video, please like and leave a comment below. I always love hearing back from you guys. And as always, thank you for watching.